Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into what might be the fundamental human paradox. It's that tension between being, infinitely complex on the inside and at the same time cosmically insignificant. It's that feeling you get when you look up at the stars, feel completely tiny, and then you realize you contain a universe just as vast right inside your own head.
And that's where life happens, really, in that tension. Our mission today is to dive right into that space, using a mix of ancient wisdom and modern science.
We're really guided by this one central idea from Nisargadatta Maharaj.
Right. Love tells me I'm everything. Wisdom tells me I'm nothing. Between the two, my life unfolds. That's our focus.
Our sources for this are just fantastic. It's a real mix, pulling from Emerson, Epictetus, all the way to current neuroscience. So the big question we're exploring for you is, how do you make that work? How do you live with that paradox? How do you find purpose and real agency when you're both a speck of dust and a literal infinity?
Let's unpack that. And I think we should start with the scale of that infinity within.
Yeah, let's do it.
Philosophers have this term, the cosmic sublime. It's that moment of awe where the line between you and the universe just dissolves.
Right.
Ralph Waldo Emerson captured it perfectly. He talked about standing on bare ground, his head uplifted into infinite spaces. And in that moment, he said, all mean egotism vanishes.
He describes becoming a transparent eyeball, which is such a strange and perfect image. He feels like he's nothing and everything at once, like he's part or parcel of God.
Exactly. But what's so incredible now is that this isn't just, a mystical feeling anymore.
We can actually map it. Neuroscience gives us a physical, literal picture of that inner world he was talking about.
We can move from that abstract poetry right to the staggering concrete math of the brain. The physical facts give a scientific backbone to Emerson's feeling of containing an infinity.
Okay, let's break down the numbers because they stop me in my tracks every single time. We're talking about the sheer number of connections we have.
The human brain has approximately 1 million billion synapses.
A million billion. Just so everyone's clear, a synapse is the tiny junction, right, where one nerve cell talks to another.
It's the fundamental site of communication, of memory, of thought. Everything happens there.
And a million billion is a number it's basically impossible to grasp.
Well, think of it this way. If you decided to count them, one every single second, without stopping for anything.
It would take you 32 million years to finish.
32 million years. That detail alone just shows you the density of what's going on inside your skull.
And that's just counting the connection points.
Yeah.
The really mind-bending part is the potential those connections create.
That's where we get into what they call hyperastronomical numbers. When scientists calculate the number of possible pathways, the potential routes for a single thought.
The number is 20, followed by millions of zeros.
Millions of zeros.
I have to pause on that because it's so wild. The number of potential pathways inside one human brain is larger than the total number of positively charged particles in the entire known universe.
It is. We are made of the same stuff as rocks, carbon, water, and yet we contain a complexity that is, as far as we know, completely unrivaled.
Which is why the neuroscientist Christoph Koch said the human brain is, quote, the most complex object in the known universe.
And all that speed, all that power comes from this organ made of very common stuff.
Okay, so here's the pivot.
Yeah.
If we are walking, talking, literal universes, what's our excuse for feeling limited? For feeling small in our ambitions?
That's the crucial step. If you accept this infinity inside you, then the only real limitation has to be self-imposed. The sources call it the self-imposed prison of believing that we are limited.
So knowing this about yourself should be a catalyst.
It should be the ultimate catalyst. If your potential pathways outnumber the stars, then the belief that you can't do something becomes, well, the most irrational thought you can possibly have.
The instruction that is just become limitless.
Exactly. It's a
Right.
refusal to accept the mental fences you've built for yourself.
That idea, become limitless, is huge.
Yeah.
But it can also feel very abstract, something you think about when you're staring at the sky. How do we bring it down to the level of our daily interactions, where, let's be honest, 99% of life happens?
That's the essential pivot, because if you are an infinite neural universe, then so is every single person you meet.
Everyone.
And that changes everything. Leo Tolstoy had this incredible insight. He said that the spirit that gives us life, call it God, consciousness, whatever, that same spirit exists in every person.
So if you really take that on board, you can't have a throwaway interaction with anyone. The person at the grocery store, the guy who cuts you off in traffic.
Every encounter becomes sacred ground. That person is a walking, living manifestation of the same ultimate complexity we were just marveling at.
And this creates a huge ethical responsibility. Because if every person is a cosmos, then the greatest loss isn't, losing your job or your house.
No. Epictetus warned about this. He said the greatest loss isn't property or wealth or even life itself. It's losing your own human dignity.
What does that mean today? What does it look like when someone loses their dignity, that inner universe?
I think it's when you let that inner light get extinguished. It's when you allow external things, what other people think, bad luck, politics, to define your worth and shrink your inner self.
So it's a form of self-betrayal.
It is. It's when your actions don't honor the complexity you know you contain. If you are a universe, you have to treat yourself with a kind of universal respect.
This makes our everyday behavior.
Yeah.
It's not just about being polite. It's a demanding daily discipline. And the sources give us a really clear list of what that looks like.
They do. Wake up, be kind, be present, be genuine, be generous.
Let's break that down. To wake up, that's about refusing to sleepwalk through life, right?
Right. It's paying attention because every interaction matters. And to be kind is the active recognition of the infinite complexity in the other person, even when it's hard.
And being present might be the hardest one. It means not being pulled into anxiety about the future or regrets about the past. It's about anchoring all that massive potential right here in this moment.
This is why that metaphor of action is so powerful. The playing field is a metaphor for life. You are the way you play.
The world doesn't really care about your potential, does it? It cares about how you actually show up.
Your character isn't revealed in some big dramatic moment. It's revealed in how you handle small conflicts, boring tasks, little tests of integrity. Are you generous when it's inconvenient? That's how you honor the most complex object in the universe, yourself.
So recognizing this internal power, this infinity, it forces us to accept a kind of radical agency. We can't hide behind fate anymore.
Exactly. We can't look at the big problems in the world and say, well, I'm just one person. What could I do?
That's the core of it. Realizing that being a tiny speck in the cosmos doesn't excuse you from action. In fact, it demands the opposite. You have to reject this idea of inevitability.
Nelson Mandela's statement on this is so powerful. He said, poverty is not an accident. Like slavery and apartheid, it is man-made and can be removed by the actions of human beings. We have to accept that our smallness doesn't equal powerlessness. We, with all our inner complexity, we're the architects of the human world. We're responsible for the systems we build, both good and bad.
So the paradox gets deeper. We're nothing, and yet we're also responsible for everything we create.
And the directive that comes from this is to move from being a passive observer to an active participant.
The sources have that wonderfully blunt phrase for it.
Stop watching the news. Start tilling the ground.
I love that. It's a call to embodied action. Focus your infinite energy on your immediate sphere of influence.
Right. Watching the news can make you feel paralyzed and anxious. Tilling the ground, whether that's literal or metaphorical, leads to actual growth. It's tangible.
It's so relevant. We want to solve these huge abstract problems, but real change starts with what we can actually touch. It's about acting without needing a guarantee, dancing with the future.
And crucially, we don't till that ground alone. This brings us to the next big idea. The individual universe is incomplete by itself.
Which means we need collaboration. We have to pool our individual infinities to create something bigger.
That's where the idea of collective effort comes in. The sources use this acronym, TMMM.
Which stands for?
Together, everyone achieves more magic or miracles. And the words magic and miracles are chosen for a reason.
Because some things are just not possible for one person alone.
Exactly. Some achievements are so far beyond what a single brain can do, no matter how complex, that they really do feel miraculous. Think about building a cathedral over centuries or landing a rover on Mars.
Or a massive scientific breakthrough.
Yes. These are acts that require millions of individual, integrated minds all working towards a common goal. It's a convergence of infinities that creates something far greater than the sum of its parts.
So you are everything, but your greatest potential is unlocked when you work with other everythings.
Beautifully put.
So we've established that we're these complex, responsible individuals who need to act together. But how do we actually navigate this journey? We all want a map, but life doesn't really provide one.
And that lack of a map, that uncertainty, is actually the source of all inspiration. The poet Rosalia de Castro said, "I see my path, but I don't know where it leads. Not knowing where I'm going is what inspires me to travel it."
So the purpose is in the journey itself, not the destination on a GPS.
Precisely. And to travel that unknown path well, you have to maintain a kind of dynamic balance. This isn't about finding a middle ground or a compromise. It's about integrating paradoxes.
Holding opposing virtues in tension, not choosing one over the other.
The sources point to Jim Rohn's descriptions of this, and they're perfect examples. They aren't trade-offs, they're integrations. So you need to be strong, but not rude.
Right. And you need to be kind, but not weak. I think that's a really hard one for a lot of people.
You might be the hardest one. If your kindness becomes weakness, you fail to act when action is needed, and you don't honor the dignity of others or yourself.
Then there's bold, but not bullying.
Yes. Boldness is the courage to act on your potential. Bullying is just ego. That balance keeps your ambition in check with your integrity.
You also have to be humble, but not timid, and thoughtful, but not lazy. That one really hits home for me.
It's a critical one. Your deep thinking has to serve action. It has to lead you back to tilling the ground. It ensures that the wisdom part, the I am nothing part, doesn't paralyze the love part, the I am everything part.
And I think that's really the key takeaway for anyone listening today. The deepest wisdom isn't about resolving these paradoxes. You don't have to choose everything or nothing.
The real art of living a purposeful life is learning to exist gracefully and actively and intelligently right in that space between them.
So to bring it all together, we've journeyed from the cosmic to the very intimate.
We have. We're made of common elements, yet we are these infinite neural universes. We have to honor that complexity in everyone we meet, treating each encounter as sacred.
While also accepting this radical responsibility for the world we build.
And we travel this path without a map, guided by these core principles. Wake up, be kind, be present.
And the wisdom we gain, we have to pass it on. There's this simple, profound statement from Charles Buxton that sums this up. The first duty to children is to make them happy.
And you make them happy by modeling this balance, by showing them that their lives are meant to unfold in this tension, that they can be limitless in spirit, yet humble as individuals, capable of miracles, but still responsible for the small, daily acts of kindness.
Let's end on that one piece of practical wisdom that connects it all, that honors both the everything and the nothing in a single, simple action.
Love food, don't waste it.
It's perfect. It connects the infinite potential of life with the finite resources we have.
It's a call to be limitless in spirit while accepting our very real limits, and to understand that this dynamic dance between those two great truths, that is exactly where we were meant to be all along. The dance begins with your very next choice.